right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention. And welcome back to another episode of Toxic Masculinity. We've got my co-host, the meanest, fiercest fighter in the world, Don the Predator Frye, and yours truly, Dan to be Severn here. We're from Toxic Masculinity. We're here to entertain you in a masculine kind of way, and the world could use a little bit more masculinity ingested into it. So we're here to entertain, offend, defend, anything and everything that we care to. And, if you get a little bit offended about it, your prerogative is to either watch or not. That is still a choice you have. Better take that choice now, because who knows the way this wacky world is going, you may not have a choice soon. So, but anyway, there, gentlemen, Tony, would you like to introduce our guest there? Tony is the voice behind the microphone, the all-knowing, all-being Tony Martinez. Are you there?
Well, Tony just passed that buck to me. He's over there making all kinds of hand signals and stuff.
Oh,
so
okay.
Because
alrighty.
This is my good friend for many years, Mr. David Hebler. I've known Dave since, well, at least the early 1980s. And his brother was actually my immediate superior in special forces when I was still in the military. And that's how I met Dave. And Dave's had a long career in martial arts, but what made him famous, so to speak, was the fact that he spent several years as the personal bodyguard to the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley, and traveled with Elvis, was at concerts with Elvis, was at Graceland with Elvis, and has a whole long litany of fantastic stories about what it's like to be out on the road with the most famous rock star in the world.
Oh, you bet. Oh, Elvis the pelvis, you betcha.
Elvis Presley was the single greatest entertainer that ever lived, period. Ain't nobody ever going to be another Elvis Presley. He was insane. We had this conversation, actually, Elvis and I. He was, he knew he was insanely famous. Obviously, he knew. And he said, why me? I said, what are you talking about? He said, why me? He says, all this fame and stuff. He said, I understand that, I said, but what I don't understand is why me? I said, I don't know. I said, I just think that maybe you were put here to be as popular as you are because you bring so much joy and happiness to so many people.
Well, again, maybe the right place, right time, but I mean, the way when he first started singing, there's a lot of like gospel type music, and he had a great voice for a lot of these gospel tunes. Where I could see how easily he could have won over many Americans just by that genre alone.
That was his favorite music, gospel. But he was also practical, and he also worked for the Colonel, and that was practical. But I just said to him, look, Elvis, 100 years from now, nobody's going to know who I am, but everybody's going to know who you are. And here we are 50 years down the road. And this movie just came out, and this movie was a phenomenon called Elvis that basically has reintroduced millions and millions of young people to become fans. It's incredible. That's incredible.
Again, I'm going to be a little bit dumbfounded here because I'm not familiar with the movie that just came out.
It's called Elvis.
Okay, you said it just came out.
Yeah, it's already sold $300 million worth of stuff. It's a huge success.
Oh, again, anything that has Elvis Presley's name attached to it, it's gonna be golden. That's for sure. I mean, he's definitely just a legend that legend, mystique, so many different things, especially at a very young age. I mean, he just had such charisma, that smile, the way that he could move and dance, and he just had so many different elements to him.
Yeah, my oldest daughter saw it. She thought it was a great movie. Great movie. She's a new Elvis fan.
Yep. He got rave reviews. It was just amazing, the turnout.
What are your thoughts on the movie? Do you think it was accurate, or you think there's some things that in there that show they made up or embellished on?
You asking me?
Yes, sir.
In the first place, I haven't seen the movie, but I've gotten inputs from literally hundreds of people whose opinion I respect. And those opinions are of singular conclusion. First place, the movie visually was incredible. The acting was superb. All of the visually, it was really impactful. Factually, it leaves a whole lot to be desired. And there's a lot of people.
Factually, when you mean they exploited a lot of things then?
Pardon?
Because when you said factually, it has a lot to be desired, so it mean that they kind of took great liberties then with the movie? Or?
Yeah, but they like, for instance, they made out the Colonel to be really a bad guy. And I knew the Colonel pretty darn well. I spent a lot of time with him. And I it's my opinion that the Colonel was not the bad guy. Not the bad guy that they portrayed in this movie in any event. So, I mean, I write about the Colonel in my book too. And I talk about the episodes of interplay that he and I had back and forth, because he liked to put me in terrible tricks, although it never worked for him.
Well, give us an example of just one of those tricks or that he might have tried to pull on you.
Okay, we always would like kowtow to the Colonel. And we're in a dressing room in Las Vegas, and the dressing room was actually two dressing rooms. There was a dressing room for the public, invited guests, and it had a bar in it. And then there was the private dressing room where Elvis was personally Elvis's room. And the Colonel is messing with me. He's coming up to me and he's going, wiggling his fingers in my face. And he's going, "You are under the Colonel's power." Yes, sir, Colonel. He said, "You can't do anything unless the Colonel says you can." I said, "Yes, sir, Colonel." He said, "You cannot leave that chair unless the Colonel says you can." I said, "Yes, sir, Colonel." And the Colonel goes away, and I'm still sitting on this bar stool. And the next thing I know, I hear Elvis from the next room, and he goes, "Hey, Dave, come here. I need you." So I do this. I stand up and I pick up the chair with me. And I duck walk into the room and sat down in front of Elvis and said, "Yeah, Elvis, what do you want?" And Elvis just started cracking up laughing at the Colonel and said, "Got you again, Colonel."
Well, did Elvis hear like the beginning portion of the conversation? He was trying to put you.
No, the Colonel filled him in after a while.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, the Colonel was also a degenerate gambler, which I later learned quite a bit about, because I became a pit boss and a dealer in various casinos for about 15 years around Nevada.
Yeah, again, I was getting ready to say, was the casino the route they went? They go to pony races, or I just got curious as to what was his
roulette.
element?
He played roulette, which is
Roulette.
the stupid, by the way, it's the stupidest game to play in any casino. Stupid. It is almost as bad as Keno. The odds are so bad against you.
I'm making a notation on that one. So what's the best game to play then?
Okay, if you can follow it, craps. Other than that would be 21 if you're playing a singleton against a dealer, because the odds are true. Okay. If I'm playing, and I'm a great 21 player, by the way, because I'm a great 21 dealer.
But you said only if you're playing one-on-one against the dealer.
One-on-one, because the problem is one-on-one, if you get in your hands, so let's say you're betting a $5 minimum, you're going to make about $100 an hour. However, and the odds are 1.6% against you, because you're going to break before the dealer breaks. That's the odd. The odds go to 17% against you as a player until as soon as another player joins the mix, because they're inept. They don't know what they're doing. They make mistakes that cost not only them money, but you as well. And that goes all the way to 17%, because that's the hold industry-wide for 21, last I heard. I don't want to buck 17% odds. That's crazy. So my short answer was, I make all my money on video poker.
Okay. Then again,
You don't have enough. You don't have
huge at
enough
the
time to
casinos.
listen to that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's huge at all of these casinos and stuff, the video poker and that. So,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, again, that's just a little side genre that, so it's always good to let folks know, because I always tell people that, Las Vegas does not exist. Las Vegas, Reno, Atlantic City, these major gambling hubs do not exist, because everyone's winning. Most people are making their contributions to these various establishments, but then there are people that they really do know what they're doing, and a lot of times they get banned at various casinos and that, because you get too good, and
no, you can make a little money if you know what you're doing, but nobody ever broke the bank. Nobody ever, and never will. That'll never happen. But you got to know when to, that old song, you never count your money till the deal is done.
yeah, gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away.
That's a bunch of bullshit. You better know what your money is, and you better know what your money is every single minute you're on that game, because it's always the money.
Mr. Frye, let me bring you in on that note there. Mr. Frye, does Dad Severn know where his money's at?
Every second of the day, boy.
Yeah. You got it.
It was I apologize about that one there, Dave, but it was just too good of a moment to let pass right there, because that
was perfect. He knows.
Yeah. Buried on the mayonnaise jar down the
yard. Wait, don't be saying that right there on the air there, Don. Come on now.
That's
I have everyone out there digging in my yard here now.
Big mayonnaise jar.
Yeah.
Wow. Your book, The Elvis Experience, just 3 years ago, www.davehebler.com. People can pick up a copy of that. And basically, for 4 years of your life, be part-time, and then two years as being full-time. When you, explain me a little bit, what does part-time mean and what is full-time? I mean, I understand full-time just means 24 hours a day, I would think, but again, you explain it to me, the difference between part-time and full-time, what that meant.
Well, when I was part-time, I was still running my karate school in Glendora, and I would only go on gigs. In other words, I wouldn't be around Elvis, 24/7, 7 days a week, that kind of thing. I would be running my school, and then when they had a gig, they'd call, I'd go, go to the gig, like go to Lake Tahoe and stay there for 3-4 days with the engagement that they're doing then. And then 2 years down the road, he, he just come out and said, I want you to work for me full time. And I said, yeah, mainly because I had just gotten divorced, and I figured out a great way to meet women. And it was.
Well, yeah, probably it was. You were probably, if you're saying in the same proximity of Elvis, you were probably being pelted with panties on a regular basis.
I know. Think about this. Think about this now, Dan. Everywhere we went, there were hundreds of love-starved women just doing their best to try to get next to Elvis and love him to death. And it was my job to keep them from doing that. What a crummy job for a guy, right?
Well, I tell you what, what a tough job to put yourself in between.
Let me tell you how tough it was. I often had to sacrifice my own body just to save his. Tough job, right?
I think.
Shut up, Jeff.
I didn't want to insult you very much, very much. But how difficult of a job could it have been to protect Elvis Presley? One, it's only women attacking him. Two, who wanted to harm the guy? The guy was loved. It's like attacking Jesus Christ, almost.
Yeah, it was rare that he got we had a problem with guys. That was pretty rare. Mostly women. Husband, huh? But it was an occasional guy got out of line, got jealous because his girlfriend or his wife was
being a little too flirtatious with Elvis, the king. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, that again, that was so comical that let's go back to the karate school for a moment there, because you said he was, because I've read different things about Elvis over the years that he actually had a karate background. Was that at your school that he learned this, and what kind of, did he ever achieve like a belt level status or?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Elvis was a martial artist and a martial arts supporter his entire adult life. True story. He, of course, could not train like you and I could train. Of course, everywhere we went, it was pandemonium. It just couldn't happen. The time I spent with him, I actually gave him more lessons than anybody. But they were like little simple things, little simple moves, punches, moves, that kind of thing, which he liked. He enjoyed doing that. But he received some pretty high rank from some pretty legitimate high-ranking martial arts instructors. And I'm not one of them. I never promoted him to anything. But so people are always asking, was he justifiably, an 8th degree black belt or a 9th degree black belt? And I said, it depends on your perspective. The amount of publicity and goodwill that Elvis gave to the martial art world is pretty equivalent to what Bruce Lee did for the martial art world in terms of popularizing and supporting, those activities. So from that perspective, we owe Elvis Presley a debt of gratitude for that. Mm-hmm. But as far as him being as good as Bill Wallace, that's fanciful. It couldn't happen. And Elvis and I had that conversation too, because he was getting a little feisty. And he said, the guys would like to see a couple high-ranking black belts get it on. And I said, are you talking about me and you? And he said, yeah, the guys would like to see that. And I said, you talking about me and you, getting it on? Are we going to go out and you're going to sing a song and I'm going to sing a song and let the audience decide who's the better singer? Or are we going to get together and fight and see who's the better fighter? I said, look, I have as much pride in my skill sets and in my profession as you do in yours. Mm-hmm. I would never insult you by claiming that I was as good a entertainer and singer as you are, because that's not true. But don't push me in a corner with that. That's not right.
No,
That's all.
There's
Just
so
don't
many
do that.
idiots out there. So many idiots out there in the entertainment world who think that, hey, I made a karate movie, so I'm really the karate master.
There you go.
They're just fucking stupid. Take that shit to the gym. I could have fought the UFC at this. I could have fought at this. No, if you wanted to fight in a UFC, you'd have fucking signed your name to it, because it's all about competition. It's about
right.
the love of competition.
Yep, you got it. So I told Elvis to finish up the story. I said, Elvis, you're the greatest entertainer that ever lived. You are not the greatest martial artist who ever lived.
Right.
yeah. No, there's again, you can hit the nail on the head. A lot of people, there's different honorary type of degrees that different universities will bestow upon different individuals. But same way that in the martial arts world, that they'll give somebody a rank for something. I mean, even in my own athletic background, I only ever took one judo class at Arizona State University, and yet here I am when this class is over. I'm I had two different instructors, American instructor and a Asian instructor, and the American instructor kind of took a shine to me because he saw how I actually came to some of the home duel matches. They saw how I was incorporating some judo into my amateur wrestling matches, and then he basically said, "Hey Dan, how would you like to go and watch a judo tournament?" I had never been to a judo tournament before. I go, "Sure, what do I do?" And he says, "Jump in this van." So I jumped in that van, gets me down to, I think, Tucson, Arizona, something like that. And it's kind of like, the story is like, well, now that you're here, he goes, "How would you like to compete?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't have a gi or nothing like that." It's like, ta-da, he had the gi, he had everything, but it was basically a setup.
Yeah.
And I look like the biggest barbarian in the world because I did not know all the proper etiquettes of bowing before he walked onto the mat. You walk up to this line and you bow to this side judge, that side judge, the center judge, and then the center judge says, "Haji man," I think, "Haji who?" And here he comes. I go, "Well, I guess it's time to let's go."
Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.